Hi, my name is Oladewajomi, and I'm here to give my biography speech on Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born Michael Luther King Jr., but later he changed his name. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15, 1929. Martin Luther King Jr. attended segregated public schools in Georgia. He graduated from high school at the age of 15 and he went to college and received his bachelor's degree in 1948 from Morehouse College. Martin Luther King Jr. also went to his graduate school at Boston University. He completed his residence for the doctorate in 1953 and he received his degree in 1955. While in Boston, he met Coretta Scott. They got married and later on had two sons and two daughters. Immediately, Martin Luther King Jr. showed signs that he could be a great civil rights leader. On December 21st of 1956, after the Supreme Court of the United States had declared unconstitutional that the laws requiring segregation on buses, Martin Luther King Jr. boycotted the buses, and during this boycott, Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested. His home was bombed. He was subjected to personal abuse and called all kind of names. But at the same time, he showed resilience, and he did not allow all of this to stop him from his goal, and he kept on pushing. In 1957, MLK Jr. was elected the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. This was an organization that he used to promote non-violence when he was protesting. At the age of 35, Martin Luther King Jr. was the youngest man to have received the Nobel Peace Prize. Later in 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the driving forces and the main force behind the March for Jobs and Freedom, which is known today as the March on Washington. This drew over 250,000 people to the National Mall. It was the march that Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. This speech was called for equality for African Americans in the nation. The speech was so famous that even today it's recited all over schools in America and is one of the most famous speech in history. Also in 1965, due to the March of Washington, Congress passed the landmark Civil Rights Act, which eliminated racial segregation in the United States. On April 4, 1968, while he was standing in the balcony in Memphis, Tennessee, he was assassinated. His accomplishments are now taught to American children of all races, and his teachings are popular across the world and across schools all over the world. Martin Luther King Jr. was the only non-president to have a national holiday celebrated in the country and in all over the country. Thank you.